I'll just give you guys just a little bit of time to send yourselves in any way you see fit before we start prayer. So we'll just do a Hail Mary and then we'll just get into it. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. And then I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks so much, Morgan. Grant, will you go ahead and, oh, just kidding. I went out of order a little bit. Michael, do we have any special requests funding? I think we do.
Yes, we have 2 tonight.
All right, go ahead and feel free to facilitate those.
Awesome. Thank you, Natalie. So the first presentation we have tonight is by the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers, and Harry Hyun, I think is how you pronounce the last name. He will be presenting. So take it away, Harry.
All right, thank you. So just a quick unrelated thing. My last name is pronounced Han. Share my screen. Can everyone see my screen all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. All right, then.
All right, hi everyone, my name is Han. I'm the chapter advisor. So just a little bit about SACE to get started. Our mission is really to prepare Asian STEM students and professionals for success in their careers. And we also focus on giving back to our community and celebrating diversity on campus. So a key part of our chapter of SACE is attending 2 conferences, one in the fall, which is our national conference, and one in the spring, which is our regional. And today, myself, Harry, and Young, we're here to request funding for our virtual spring regional conference taking place on February 20th and the 27th.
All right, so for the funding items, they're pretty straightforward. We want to get, or we're looking to get 20 tickets to start with and have $50 set aside for if anyone decide, or if more than 20 people decide they want to go. There's also taxes. And we're also hoping to get $150 for goodie bags as a way to, as a nice way to like promote community during the conference. So everyone gets a little notebook, some stickers, and just some small goodies to have. So in the form I completed for the funding request, there was also graduation stalls, but we decided we could do without them since seems part of SCA's policy is that apparel doesn't typically get funded, and we also thought that they aren't all that important and we could figure it out for ourselves. So that's about it for the request. Nothing too much there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Harry. So now we'll just open it up for questions. So anybody in SGA or who are visiting can ask Harry, Han, or Duong any questions.
I just have a quick request. Could we see the breakdown of the costs again?
Sure thing.
Thank you. I just didn't get to read it all. So if anyone else has any questions, please go ahead.
Michael, it looks like I have a slight question on the bill proposed. We are recommending $450, but I'm not great at math. But right now, what I see they have added up only adds up to 400. Will we change that recommendation to 400?
Yes.
All right, thanks.
I got more of like a comment. I think like the $150 for the goodie bags is like a really good idea, or not the money, but just the goodie bags in general. I mean, the money's fine too, but just because like definitely like for like I'm a part of the Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers, and when we had a conference, like everyone hated it. Like there was like no type of connection at all, like exactly like y'all are saying. So like goodie bags is like I really like that idea. I like this a lot.
Point of information in response to Drew. I think where you were missing like the extra 50, it would be the second. You said 400, right?
Yeah.
I think you missed the 50 set aside in case the 20 or more members want to attend.
The 50 is already included in the 250. 20
Oh.
times 10 is 200 plus 50, 250.
Oh, there we go. Never mind. Thanks, Luis.
Got you, Morgan.
Yeah, I was worried I was going to get called out for my math skills there for a second, but
Any other questions?
A quick question for you, Michael.
Yes.
Since the request has now dropped to 400 instead of, I think, 550, should we do 80% of 400? Or are you still comfortable giving full 400?
I'm comfortable doing the full 400. That was just a minor math error on my end.
All right, sweet, thanks.
Yep.
Just a reminder, that 80% was taken out of the bylaws last year.
Oh, awesome, thank you.
Any other questions? Awesome. Thank you so much. And then our second presentation is by Black Action Through Unity. And we have Gabe presenting today. So Gabe, you can take it away.
I get to stop sharing now?
Yes, you can.
Right, thank you, everyone.
So good afternoon, everybody. My name is Gabriel Guys Baude. I am the standing president of Black Action Through Unity. And today I'll be presenting a proposal regarding the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, an event, tour, and lecture that we plan to host this Black History Month, February 24th. So before I get into it, I just wanted to give a quick background for people that don't know who Black Action Through Unity is, or BATU is. We are the standing Black student union at the University of Dayton, founded at 1970. Our purpose is to represent Black student voices on campus at the University of Dayton through our programming, service, leadership, and unity. So with that being said, I'll try and go through this presentation briefly but impactfully. So once again, I'm here to propose a special request funding for an event that we're hosting where we are inviting the Black History 101 Mobile Museum to the University of Dayton for a tour and lecture. So a bit of important information is that the Black History 101 Museum, it was founded by Dr. Khalid El Hakim. It is an award-winning collection of over 10,000 Black history artifacts and memorabilia dating back from transatlantic slave trade to the modern era. And Dr. Khalid travels nationally delivering presentations and tours on these artifacts collected over time. He's traveled to universities and conferences, and this year, including us, he plans to travel to Oklahoma State University, Washburn University, and the University of Wyoming, delivering these artifacts that are very important. And he also presented at the university, or not himself, but his team also brought a few of his artifacts to the University of Dayton in 2020. So that's just a bit of background of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum. And if you're wondering a bit more about the specific artifacts, here are a few examples of what he brings. So he provides a very intimate, educational, and intentional experience to Black history, which in this presentation we'll go through why it's so important, valid, and relevant during this time. But here are a few examples of articles that he's brought at presentations. Assata Shakur's 1973 indictment article, Tuskegee Airman coin, and a segregated water fountain sign during the Jim Crow era. So these are a few examples of certain things that will be, or that he does present as he provides, once again, an intimate experience detailing Black history from the transatlantic slave trade to the modern era of the history. It's ultimately a storytelling opportunity, as well as, like I said, an educational opportunity. But these are just a few examples. Before I get into the reason why it's important for us to have and the impact, here are a few testimonials I'd like to read on people that have had the Black History 101 present. And this includes a former Congresswoman from Detroit City, Barbara Rose Collins, who spoke stating, "Your exhibit has continually enriched, enhanced, and enlightened our program attendees with an extraordinary display of Black historical artifacts. I'm deeply grateful and thank you again for your generosity." The second testimony I'd like to read is from Bruce George, co-founder of the Deaf Poetry Jam, who states, "We as African people struggle too often and have had short-term memories as a way to anesthetize our pain, but the Black History 101 Mobile Museum wakes us from our slumber to heal our wounds." So those are a few impacts that this, presentation and tour and Dr. Khalid El Hakim has had on other individuals that have had him at their space. But what I would like to talk about today is the impact I see, and not just I see, my team, Batu, and other Black students see Dr. Khalid El Hakim having on our university, and why we think this will be valid. So I'm not going to touch on all of this. I have 6 points. So I have 3 under university impact and 3 under student impact. The ones that I would like to discuss that I believe are very relevant and valid to this conversation is UD's anti-racist action plan and steps, UD and America's similar history with white supremacy, exposure and awareness, and the Black student educational and identity necessity. So I'll try not to stay on this slide for too long, but I do think it's pretty much one of the most important parts of this presentation, because to start it off, what Batu is doing with bringing the Black History 101 Mobile Museum is right on time and aligning with the University of Dayton's anti-racist action plans, which first states to set the expectation for staff to be educated about bias and privilege and systematic racism, and secondly states for advance universities' learning goals of diversity. So how does this correlate? The Black History 101 Mobile Museum once again brings a trajectory of Black history that often isn't highlighted in the history books, and provides an intimate experience on not only the highlights of the Black experience, but also some of the tragedies when combating systematic racism throughout the history of America. And once again, aligning with the University of Dayton's anti-racist action plan and steps, this event correlates towards pushing that agenda forward with the education of faculty and staff, as well as the education of students. Briefly touching on the importance of exposure and awareness and how it correlates to UD and America's similar history. So we have, of course, documented occurrences which people might not know in our yearbooks of white supremacy existing on campus and overt racism. But what this, as the city councilwoman stated, what this opportunity does is it provides a deep analysis of where we've been, where we are, but also where we can go. And I think it's very important for that history to be known due to the impact that we see on the University of Dayton's campus. So for UD specifically, it's very important. In 2018, Dayton Daily News noted that 41% of the city of Dayton comprised of Black people. Yet during 2018, only 3% of the student population at the University of Dayton was Black, which makes you wonder what causes occurrences like that, other than the obvious discriminatory policies that not only affect students at the university, but have impacted students attempting to get in. So what the Mobile Museum does is, once again, it provides historical storytelling to the impacts of systematic white supremacy. But I would like to talk about the Black student educational and identity necessity, the need. And I want to emphasize that word as it's a need. So Black students have been asking and demanding for Black history to be presented in classes because systemically, once again, that's something that hasn't been highlighted in upcoming educational experiences such as schools. Honestly, even outside of that, Black students have not had the opportunity to truly be educated on the historical impacts of Black people in America. And that's the value of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum. It not only is educational, but it's an opportunity to help Black students with discovering their identity, which has been stripped away from many due to the historic racism and impacts of transatlantic slavery in America. So that's just a few ways that this event does impact the University of Dayton. And my next slide, I would like to talk about why it's relevant, because of course, I'm sure there's a question that's popping up in many people's head, which we've gotten before when it comes to programming, is why now? Why during COVID? Why can't this event wait? What is the significance of having the Black History 101 Mobile Museum here today? And the short but simple answer is 2020. In 2020, we witnessed civil unrest before our eyes, and the importance of 2020 is that we all were, or many of us were, similarly traumatized at the same time. However, we reacted differently, and some reacted the same way. We all watched a man die on our television screens and on our media, which opened the doors and the floodgates for people to understand that the screams, the cries, and the protests that Black people have been addressing for years are not just a representation of throwing tantrums, are not just a false dream, are not just a facade, but are very much so real. And similar to the situation of Emmett Till, who was a young boy that was murdered due to a lie, with the media, the world, and I emphasize the world, not just the United States of America, saw just a glimpse of what many Black people are experiencing in America today. So why is this relevant? It's relevant because there are a lot of people, one, that still saw the video and don't believe white supremacy exists. It's also relevant because there are people that saw the video, and not just Black people, were affected and called to do something. However, with the protests ending and with the new electoral candidate in office, it's often what now? With the knowledge that I have now, with seeing what I witnessed, what now? And what the Black History 101 Mobile Museum does, it provides an answer. It provides storytelling from where we've been, how it affects to now, and what you can do with the knowledge that you are getting. So it impacts Black audiences because it provides healing and provides direction. It impacts allies because it provides more direction and maybe even a calling to vocational students that are interested in truly uplifting and living the Marianist values. But it also impacts the ignorant that refuse to accept the reality. It provides that acceptance because when you look at a white and a colored fountain and you see the sign, it's not just in a textbook. You can touch it, you can feel it. You see that it is real. It is not just a figment of our imagination, and it still impacts us to this day, right? So that's the relevance, and that's why we're requesting for that now. So going into our request, just a quick event details. There is a tour. So for the event, February 24th, once again, Wednesday, the tour will be at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And this will be socially distanced. It'll be located in Torch Lounge. We expect to have 10 people permitted at a time with a limited amount of time so that people can see, more students can get the opportunity to actually experience the mobile museum. And we're hoping to partner with professors as a potential educational or extra credit opportunity for those interested. And Dr. Khalid Al-Hakim will also be providing a lecture virtually on Zoom, so more students that weren't able to get the tour can actually see, and hear from the founder and CEO of the Black History 101 Mobile Museum. right? So that's the event details. And what Batu is requesting is we're requesting financial requests to cover the actual event. And the event costs $3,500 with the price of the tour and the lecture, as well as his travel, which is still to be determined. And we're in conversations with him right now. Why are we requesting the coverage of the entirety of the event? Well, I've given a presentation on the values of why that, but also Batu and many other student organizations have been impacted by the effects of COVID, which has limited our programming. But with Batu, we also have what separates us from many other student orgs is our intentional programming. Not to say that they don't have value, but there's many student orgs that can stop programming right now and because of COVID. And that's not to say student experiences aren't impacted. But if Batu stops, a lot of the hub for Black students as not only a space for mental health, but a space for that truly uplifts culture and truly uplifts other students is stopped as well. So as a vocationally based, a service-based student org, it's very imperative that we have this event here because we've been halted from having certain service events that are directed towards uplifting Black students and pushing the university towards what it's demanding and the steps that it's requiring. So the ultimate request, this is the price. If you were wondering, my next slide just goes into questions that I have, but that's once again a bit of background that many of our events have been postponed and our fundraising opportunities have been withheld due to students that can't live on campus due to COVID-19, as well as some of our events being withheld and some of those events being the majority of where our funding comes from. So with that being said, are there any questions that people would like to discuss my presentation?
Gabe, can I also add something real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
I also want to add that in addition to asking for that full amount, because for those of you know, I'm also a part of Black Action Through Unity. We are also hoping in collaboration with Campus Unity. So we've talked to the Campus Unity rep, Kalia, and obviously with Luis. So this would not just be like a Batu event. It would also be something that would have SGA tied to it.
Thank you. I apologize for overlooking that. That's very important. Thank you.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to make sure that got mentioned. If Luis wants to add more, that's fine. But I just wanted to make sure that got brought up.
Yeah, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Jada. What is it called? Kalia, who is our representative for Black Action Through Unity, brought it up in one of our meetings and said that this is an event that she wants Campus Unity to partner up, exactly how Gabe's presentation showed. It's a great event to educate campus, and I think that's one of the most important things, right? Especially like with all the events that happened last year. Like looking at the numbers, even though it's like it exceeds the, like, was it $1,500 capacity or whatever it may be, and like maybe this is a question for later, but I was wondering if the budget for Campus Unity can be used to help with this as well, because I do think that this is something really, really important. There's something really valuable about in-person events, and then also like actual actual tangible objects, right? Not just a lecture, not just a PowerPoint, right? But like actually seeing it like with your own eyes. But yeah, I guess that question might be for someone else.
Would y'all like me to stop sharing screen? Dude, or is there a slide that anybody wants to go back to? Just let me know.
I think Bridget brought up a question in the chat that I'm also curious about. If SGA is partnering, or if I'm partnering up with them, is there still a $1,500 capacity, or is there some way that we can reach the $3,500 goal?
I can field this question, Luis. So there is that 1,500 cap for special requests, but Director Pearson is in charge of the special events budget. So he might be able to pull money from that budget and help fund this event.
I am happy to um, like allocate money out of my budget to support this event. I think the issue right now is how that would, because Chris just said the Senate. Yeah, so we can't like necessarily allocate in a special request funding like my budget toward events, but I am more than happy to work on covering the rest because we've spent almost, or honestly, possibly nothing out of my budget for this year.
Because I know another thing too is like when I was talking to Jada about it, and they were saying how like they need to communicate with the guy sooner rather than later, just to make sure that like he knows what's going on and stuff. So like I can help you with like any paperwork or anything to make it happen.
And I can also help too because like Gabe mentioned, we did this event last year. And so I worked with some of the guys, so I can work on helping with the budget as well, or answering any other questions, since I know like on the SGA side and the BATU side.
I'm currently pulling up my budget just to double check on some things, but I'll be looking into that right now.
So I've got another question kind of about the budget there. Have you guys asked any UD departments or anything, history maybe, if they would be willing to put up some of the money? I mean, I'm just wondering if anyone's asked.
So there were a few history people in mind, like Dr. Joyce and me, but we wanted to meet with you first, with SGA first, before we reached out to anybody. I applied for the vocational grant, but that was given to another organization on campus. So those are the two that we've reached out to for thus far. And we do also have other programming as well. So it was with context of that to balance the funds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Gabe?
Real quick, could you, because it's slipping my mind at the moment, what was the date range or specific date that this was planned to occur on?
The date is February 24th, which is a Wednesday. Tour is at 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and the lecture is 12 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much, Gabe. This was a really great presentation. And I think that is it for special request presentations, Natalie.
Okay, thank you. Have a good week, everybody.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. And thank you to all of our presenters. We really appreciate you all taking time out of your day to come and talk to us a little bit more about your requests. So thank you for that. So Grant, will you go ahead and kick us off with some attendance?
I think you're muted.
Sorry, guys. Bar Ali,
Here.
great. Welcome. Did I say your name? Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Bara.
Bara. Okay, great.
Thank you.
James Bro.
Here.
Jada Brown. Jada's here. Jules Carchelman. Jules. Natalie Coppolino.
Here.
Morgan Cox.
Here.
Michael Fields.
Here.
Sophia Garcia.
Here.
Jessica Garvin. Jessica. Mason Gordon.
Here. Dan Hennessy,
Present.
Courtney Henford,
Here.
Hannah Hobie,
Here.
Jake Jagels,
In attendance.
Bridget Mooney,
Here.
Drew Moyer,
Alive and breathing.
Ryan Pearson,
Here.
Annie Philbin,
Here.
Grace Perucci,
Here.
Kat Pistone,
Here.
Tommy Reese, Tommy's here, Luis Rogel,
I'm here.
Jack Santee,
Here.
Kelly Stewart,
Here.
Ben Thomas,
Here.
Jacob Troutwine,
Here.
and Rachel Veneman.
Here.
Great. Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, Grant. So do we have any public announcements today?
So I have an announcement following up with the retreat. First, thank you all for being there. We had some really great conversations around advocacy and legislation. So thank you all for that. I do have an update. As we were talking about that, I know asking Jake to email everyone the legislation every week is kind of a lot, or it can be. So I found a Google plugin thing that can send it to you automatically. Whenever the piece of legislation is put into the folder that says it's ready for this week. So as Jake goes through legislation each day or whenever he does that, he can move it into a special folder and it will email everyone. So I'm just going to put a quick poll out there. And if you want to be added to that email that comes out when new legislation is available, you can say yes. If you do not want to be added, you can say no. And I will get that set up. And so anyone, senators, non-senators, can respond to the poll. And then I'll make sure Amy and Meg are included. Oh, that's weird. Someone just...
It's only allowing 9 votes, Chris.
Someone just stopped it. Hold on. Okay. I think someone was turning it on and off. And so now I've lost all of your votes. So go ahead and vote again. There's 2 people who didn't vote, which is totally fine. I think that might be our guests. So we will stop it now. And I will check those results at the end of the meeting and get that set up for those of you who said yes. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris. Does anyone else have any public announcements today?
I do. For those in SGA, you should have received a Google invite from me on your calendar for Saturday, February 27th at 1 p.m. at Stewart Field for the ice rink. So we did go ahead and reserve that for that time. Again, you should have a invite on your Google Calendar from myself. If you didn't and you want to be added to it, let me know. But if you all can take a look at that and your schedule and answer that when you can, so I'm able to talk to UDCR about what our numbers are going to be looking like when we go out to the rink, just so they can get things ready. That would be awesome. Thanks.
Drew, if you have not already, can you make sure that event is registered with CSI?
Does it have? I didn't know they had to be.
It doesn't have to go through the 1850 in-person request form, but any student organization planning an event has to register the event.
All righty.
Do we have to register it because are we considering this like a sponsored event, or are we?
Because
does it matter?
Meetings, we register anything a student group does needs to be registered with CSI.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Drew. Does anyone else have any public announcements? Okay, seeing none, do we have any public comments and concerns? Okay, seeing none again, do we have any SGA members that want to give a report?
So, just
Go
real
ahead.
quick, sorry. Because I just added all the directors to a Slack channel. If you all could check the message I'm going to send in just a second, that'd be great. It has to do with the funding request. Just ironing out some things. That would be awesome. I'm trying to get it wrapped up like before we really get to the bill so I can comment, but yeah, please keep an eye out for that message. It'll be coming. I'm literally typing it right now, so it'll be coming in like 30 seconds. Thank you.
Sounds good, Ryan. I'll give a quick update. So myself and the other academic reps attended a meeting this past Friday. It was a joint academic senate and faculty meeting. And the bulk of the presentation, or the bulk of the meeting, was spent on presentations given by administration, such as President Spina, Dr. Leslie Pica, Andy Horner, and Provost Benson all gave presentations and updates on things going on. A few of the highlights. The first is mental health is a very big focus on this semester, and making sure that us as students are in a good mental state. And I think we saw this in the past two senates, SGA senates, from the speakers, just outline all the different activities and events and resources this semester that are here to help us as students. And so I think that was very good to hear that mental health is a very big focus. A second major update they talked about is summer plans. So I think the plan right now is the summer is going to primarily be online courses, but at a reduced tuition cost. I think the reduced tuition cost will be the same as it was last summer. So that was good to hear that tuition prices will be cheaper, and that there will also be more academic resources this summer to help students. I know in the past, a few summers ago, I had to take like 16 credits for a summer. There's not a lot of academic resources typically. I think they're looking to increase that this summer. So that was good to hear. And an official announcement about all the summer plans, I think is planned to come out in a few weeks. And then the third main update was about fall. I think they're planning on it to be mostly in person in terms of classes. There's a lot of things out of UD's control with regards to that, such as vaccines and things like that. But I think they're planning for it to be a lot more in person in the fall. So that was good to hear. And those are the big updates. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thanks, James. Do we have any other reports from SGA members?
I'll do one really quick. So one of my large responsibilities is to sit on the athletic advisories committee. And we had our meeting, and I know that some people are dying to know what the athletics updates are. So basically, we have applied to get an extension on how many people are allowed in UD Arena 3 times to both Montgomery County and the state of Ohio, and have been denied all 3 times. So right now there will only be, we're up to 10 students that are allowed in UD Arena. So not a lot, kind of sad, but better than none. So we'll take what we can get. And as far as spring sports go, all fall sports have been moved to spring, and with a bunch of COVID testing going on conditionally, those seasons are going on as planned. So we're not 100% sure about fans at those yet. We're hoping that it'll be more because they're outdoors, so we'll be having more students there. So that'll be pretty exciting. Anything else that I got from that meeting? I think that's about it. Oh, football's canceled for this season, which is really depressing, but we did get a transfer from Ohio State, so that's pretty dope. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Kat. All right, do we have any other SGA reports?
Yeah, I got some stuff too. First, my event this week was amazing. There was like 630 people in attendance. I think it was like really educational. What is it called? Thank you for anyone who came. But looking forward, another event that my committee and I have planned is we have an event planned at the end of February. I'm trying to get the specific date. I think it's 26th or something like that, where we're going to talk about the Crown Act. For you all who don't know about the Crown Act, it's just basically like it regards like Black women's hair, or just like Black women's hair, Black people hair, and like in the workplace, and it like the ability of people to like tell them how to wear it, how it should look, and stuff like that. So, and that one's gonna be a tough talk. I know that's, you all have like mentioned it before, like that y'all want to see some tough talk. So that one's gonna be one, and it's gonna be a really, really good one. There's gonna be some more guest speakers, people who've been like in the professional setting and have been discriminated against because of their hair. So having those personal accounts is really awesome, because, you know, like just because we don't experience it, it doesn't mean it's not there. So hearing people's like stories and stuff is gonna be really nice and really educational. And I'll be working with Ryan to hopefully get that Path Point certified. But yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Luis. Do we have any other reports? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to jump into my report really quickly. So we have, Annie, Drew, and I have another COVID enforcement meeting coming up. So if anybody has any suggestions, comments, or concerns, just feel free to send those along to us so that we can address them with administration at that meeting, and then hopefully work on that and get back with you all about it. Additionally, we do have an anti-racism internal working group meeting this Tuesday at 7 p.m. If you would like to attend and don't have the meeting link yet, please let me know so that I can send that to you. And then, as Annie did mention earlier, we do have Senator Ali that we will be inducting into the Senate tonight. So everybody give her a warm welcome when the time is appropriate. And just as a little legislation reminder, I know that Jagels mentioned it earlier, but each voting member of the Senate does represent their constituents when voting and making suggestions on legislative pieces. Just please remember to take your constituents into consideration. And also, your personal opinions and views on pieces may not necessarily always reflect that of your constituents. So please just keep them in mind when dealing with legislation and all that type of stuff. But other than that, I don't have anything else for you all. So Jagels, will you go ahead and take us into Senate floor?
Thank you very much, President Cupolino. The time is 4:48 p.m. I hereby call Senate floor to order. We have 17 voting members, which means majority stands at 9. Any points or motions at this time?
I move to bring Senate Bill 2021-17 to the floor. Mr.
Thank you, Senator Moyer. Do we have a second? Seeing a second from Senator Santi, all those in favor, please raise your hands at this time. All opposed? Seeing majority in favor, we will bring this up. Senate Bill 2021-18. Vice President Fields, you have the floor.
Was it 17 or 18? I don't know if this matters.
Oh, 17, sorry. 17, yes.
But I can start speaking on 17 as you're pulling that up. So this is the special request by Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers. So as they presented, they did request $550, but my recommendation is only $400. And they did cross off the STOL mark, which was like $150. So I think this can be funded because the conference is obviously fitting the needs of their organization and growing the leadership skills. So if anybody has any questions, let me know. But other than that, you all saw this presentation.
So I have a question. Like, is there anything abstaining us for why we couldn't give them more funding?
They didn't request more funding. So the only reason we're not giving them the full $550 is because SGA does not fund apparel or gifts, and STOLs can be seen as both of those things. Does that answer your question, Jada?
Yes, it does. I didn't know that. Thank you.
Yep.
Any further points or motions at this time?
Yeah, I moved to fill in the blank.
Thank you, Senator Reese. Do we have any suggested dollar amounts?
I recommend $400.
Thank you. $400, which is the VPF's recommendation, has been proposed. Any other dollar amounts? Hearing none, $400 will be the amount appearing on the bill. Any further points or motions at this time?
Move to the previous question.
Thank you. Hear a motion to the previous question. Do we have a second?
I would second that.
Hearing a second from Senator Brown. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your hands at this time. All opposed? We will now go into voting procedure on Senate Bill 2021-17. By a vote of 18 to 0, Senate Bill 2117 has passed. Any further points or motions?
I move to bring Senate Bill 2021-18 to the floor.
I second that motion.
Hearing a second, we will bring up Senate Bill 2021-18 to the floor. That is Vice President for Finance.
Thank you. So this is the second special request that we heard tonight from Black Action Through Unity. They requested $3,500. My recommendation is $1,500 because that is the cap for special requests. I do believe this is a great event, so I'm trying to fund as much as possible. Let me know if you have any questions.
Quick point of information.
Thank you, VP Fields. Any points or motions?
Quick point of information on this. I have been talking to directors in Slack, and we have decided to split the special programs budget, which is like encapsulates all of the committees. We have pledges from Director Cox, Director Brill, and Director Rogel for their full budgets. So as of now, the special programs budget can give $2,250 toward the cost, if that changes anything for anyone.
Point of information.
Senator Brown.
So with that being said, from Director Pearson, we can approve this 1,500, and then the rest of the 2,000 can be covered by the other directors. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
If the math stands, that is correct. I did some really quick math, so I think that's correct. If I could get a verification on that, that would be amazing.
Point of information.
Go ahead. Point of information.
What was the amount that you said one more time? Brian?
Director Pearson.
For the amount that the other committees have pledged?
Yes.
We have 4 committees. Let me double check on that. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 committees. If we split the budget evenly, 4 committees giving $562.50 each, which adds up to $2,250 if my math is correct.
Point of information. Black Action. Yeah, so Black Action Through Unity requested $3,500. So if each committee just gave $500, that would be the right math.
Thank you, Senator Brown. Director Pearson, anything further?
That works for me because that's less than we were planning on. So I think that works out. We are okay with that.
Yep. Point of information.
Director Rogel.
Yeah, just to continue what Jada said, I think it would make more sense for the committees to give $500 each with the 4 of us, which would be $2,000, and then use the $1,500 from the special funding. So then the committees can keep more money rather than lowering the amount on here to make it exactly $3,500. And then also in their presentation, they mentioned transportation for the individual who's bringing the Black Mobile Museum. What is it, VP Fields? Like, is transportation something that we fund? And if so, how much do we fund, and like what's the, how would we go about that? And then also, I'm sorry, and then Jada, do you know roughly how much the transportation would cost?
Point of information, I'm pretty sure that the travel cost is included in the 3,500, but let me ask Gabe real quick. Give me like 2 seconds.
Yes, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but we do fund transportation. So if that's extra 3,500, I would direct that back to Director Pearson to see if he can fund any extra money.
Point of information.
Mr. Troutwine.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but I believe it was that we fund transportation for individuals who are a part of the university, but not for people who are outside of the university. I don't know if this fits, because I know I was trying to work on it last year to where we could try to do stuff like this, where it's for the purposes of education. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we can actually fund that. But yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Troutwine. VP Fields.
So I've been talking with Chris in the chat, and I don't think special requests can fund transportation, but like the special programs. So Director Pearson would be able to, which is what I think those funds would be coming from.
If
Director Pearson.
Following up on that, because we only have, the way I'm doing this is asking people to allocate their budget. I'm not overriding anything. Right now we're maxed out at the $562.50 per person, unless some people decide to give their budget, because I haven't gotten responses from other people, so I'm still waiting on that. But as of now, I can give up to the 562 per committee. So that's again the 2250 number. And then Chris just messaged me and said travel expenses are limited to $150 per person.
So 2 points of information here. Would this, Ryan, everything that you're doing through the directors donating doesn't pertain to anything on this bill, correct? We wouldn't need to vote on it. So this would be a conversation for after Senate with Batu, Jada, and the rest of the directors to figure out how the director funds are able to be allocated. I'm just trying to make sure that I was correct with Senate floor stuff, because we wouldn't actually vote on, we can't allocate your budgets, correct?
That is correct. For sake of getting this bill passed, I would recommend at this point just subtracting from the 3,500 the full 2,250, which is instead of the 500, it's the 562 number. I would just recommend subtracting $2,250 from the 3,500 and doing the $1,500, and then we can figure out the rest.
Point of information.
Senator Troutwine.
I mean, I understand that rationale, but I don't understand why we wouldn't just allocate the 1,500 now, and then if those adjustments can be made, then go back and correct that retroactively rather than going through all that now. Instead, just allocate the 1,500, allocate the max that we can at this time, and then like work backwards if that is the case.
The speaker looks favorably upon Mr. Troutwine's previous comment. That would be a concern that can be addressed later through a next meeting.
I moved the previous question.
Senator Brown, before we can do that, we need to fill in the blank. I will share the screen again. Do the speaker look favorably upon a motion to fill in the blank?
Mr. Speaker, I move to fill in the blank to $1,500.
I hear the dollar amount of 1,500. Any further dollar amounts? Hearing none, we will go with $1,500 to appear on the bill. Any further points or motions at this time?
I moved the previous question.
Thank you, Senator Brown. We've got a motion on the previous question. Do I have a second?
I second that.
Hearing a second from Director Cox, all those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Moving into voting procedure on Senate Bill 2021-18. Please go ahead and vote. By a vote of 18 to 0 to 0, Senate Bill 18 has passed. Any further points or motions at this time?
I move to introduce Senate Resolution 2021-19.
I second.
You're, Mr. Speaker.
Giggles, you're muted.
Thank you for the correction. Hearing a second, we will, all those in favor of bringing up Senate Resolution 2021-119, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Seeing none opposed, we'll move into this resolution. That is. Any further points or motions?
Do I have the floor, Speaker?
Oh, yes. Sorry, Senator Carr-Chelman. Thank you for the correction. Senator Carr-Chelman, you have the floor.
That's right. So there's a military coup going on in Myanmar right now. They've successfully lived under, democratic rule, civilian ruled government for about 5 years now. But before then, they were ruled by a military, essentially autocracy. It was basically a dictatorship. And what's happening now is that work to successfully implement a democratic government, which essentially been happening for the last decade, is being disassembled because of the most recent elections last November in Myanmar. So now hundreds of of democratic politicians that have won last November are being captured and placed under house arrest, along with their president that was just elected. So Myanmar is kind of seeing an issue with their attempts at democracy. And I think as a democratic organization in a democratic country, we should take a stance on that. And so this is the resolution. This is our stance.
Do you yield the floor, Senator?
Yes, I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Carr-Chelman. Any further points or motions at this time?
I move to the previous question.
Thank you, Senator Trotwine. Do we have a second? Seeing a second from Senator Moyer. All those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Seeing none opposed, we'll move into voting procedure on Senate Resolution 2021-19. By a vote of 14 to 0 to 4, Senate Resolution 2021-19 has passed. Any further points or motions at this time?
I move to bring Senate Bill 2021-15 to the floor.
Thank you, Senator Moyer. Do we have a second? Seeing a second from Director Cox. All those in favor of bringing Senate Bill 2021-15 to the floor, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Senator Moyer, you have the floor on Senate Bill 2021-15.
Thank you, Speaker Jagels. This administration is very excited for the appointment of new senator Oli, I don't know really how to say that since it hasn't passed yet. But anyways, she really came to her interview very well prepared and is very interested in moving forward with advocacy projects involving first-year students. We really support this appointment, and she does have a very large passion for SGA. We are excited to hopefully welcome her into the SGA family moving forward, and are excited for her passion to support her fellow first-year students here at the University of Dayton. I yield my time, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Moyer. Do we have any further points or motions at this time?
I moved to a previous question.
Thank you, Director Ogle. Do we have a second? Seeing a second from Senator Hobie, all those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? We will be moving into voting procedure on Senate Bill 2021-15. Please go ahead and vote at this time. By a vote of 17 to 0 to 1, Senate Bill 2021-15 is passed. Any further points or motions?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules so that President Coppolino is able to swear in the new senator.
Thank you, Director Moyer. Speaker looks favorably upon that. Do we have a second? Seeing a second from Director Cox, all those in favor of suspending the rules to allow President Coppolino to swear the new senator in, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Rules are suspended. President Coppolino, go ahead.
All right, thank you so much. So Senator Ali, just go ahead and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute.
that I will faithfully execute
and will to the best of my ability.
and will to the best of my ability
Preserve, protect, and defend.
preserve, protect, and defend
The Constitution of the University of Dayton Student Government Association.
the Constitution of the University of Dayton Student Government Association.
And will serve the undergraduate student body.
And will serve the undergraduate student body.
In accordance with the Catholic and Marianist values.
In accordance with the Catholic and Marianist values.
On which the University of Dayton is founded.
On which the University of Dayton is founded.
Congratulations, Senator Ali.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I move to reinstate the rules.
Thank you, Senator Moyer. Do we have a second?
I second.
Hearing a second from Director Ogle, all in favor of returning to Senate floor, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? We will now be moving back into Senate floor. Any further points or motions at this time?
I move to bring Senate Bill 2021-16 to the floor, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Moyer. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Hearing a second from Senator Brown, all those in favor of bringing Senate Bill 2021-16 to the floor, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Attorney General Gordon, you have the floor.
All right, so this is a bill. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so this is bylaws changes. They went to the IB committee last week and this week. So essentially, we just are changing the Campus Unity Committee to include a seat for representatives from the organizations of AAA, BATU, EOL, and Spectrum. And the other change is that we invite the Director of Marianist Involvement, which is currently Director Morgan Cox, to these Campus Unity meetings. So essentially this is to sort of create more representation from underrepresented peoples on campus. Does anybody have any questions about this?
Point of information.
Senator Brown, go ahead.
Okay, I was making sure. So I do love those core groups, but do we also have to change the bylaws to say like what the procedure would be if like we wanted to add a new group to Campus Unity Committee permanently?
Yeah, so, oh, do me go ahead, Jagels.
Go ahead, AG Gordon.
Okay, so to add other organizations, we would have to go through bylaws changes. This is just an initial experiment, and Director Rogel and any other director in the future has the opportunity to reach out to groups and ask them to send somebody to the organization. So they don't have to have, per se, an actual official seat in the committee to have representation in the committee. This is just sort of an experiment to sort of give a direct channel to more prominent groups on campus to have representation in SGA and the Campus Unity Committee. Does that answer your question, Representative Brown or Senator Brown?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Pearson.
Following up on what AG Gordon just said, I believe the bylaws specifically for each committee just says they shall form a committee, and then in this bill, I think it's toward the top, it did say that this request came from the Director of Campus Unity himself, so there's kind of like a parallel there, I guess, for like requesting the other groups. And then kind of a second point of information, Speaker Jagels, could you scroll down for the other points that are on the bill? And then AG Gordon, do you want to talk about these or?
Yeah, I can go through these real quick. So as many of us may know, there was a resolution passed in the 2018-2019 student government year where it gave the Asian American Association their seat on the committee. So I am saying that that legislation is now void because it's sort of like a double whammy, like saying in this old resolution they have a seat, and then saying in this in the actual bylaws they have a seat. It's kind of redundant to say it twice, and it could just cause confusion in the future. So we're avoiding that resolution. And then we are asking the executive secretary to make a note that that legislation is no longer in effect, just to put it on the books. And then the fourth point, of course, is just to thank Chairman Rogel for his efforts in coming to the Issues and Bylaws Committee and helping us get the ball rolling on putting these equitable changes into place.
Thank you, AG Gordon. Director Troutwine. Senator Troutwine.
Yes. Quick point of information. If you want to scroll up again briefly, sorry. My one question is point A of the bill seems to already invite the language of point, or sorry, not point A, the point A of point 1 of point C. Seems to already sort of reach the same conclusion as point E. So I was just wondering if there was any what the rationale was to including point E when point A is also there as well. I yield my time.
Thank you, Director, thank you, Senator Troutwine. AG Gordon.
Yeah. Okay. So the way that we kind of worked it out is so point E basically requires the director to have a representative from BATU, EOL, AAA, and Spectrum. So there has to be somebody there. And the current director was okay with putting these restrictions on himself in this position. So essentially, other student organizations are allowed to come on, but there has to be a member from BATU, EOL, AAA, and Spectrum. And it is a requirement of the current director and directors in the future. That's why we didn't just write tons of different organizations. Like these 4, we can definitely get someone from, and it's sort of like testing the waters with having set positions from organizations on campus.
Okay, thank you, Mason. I yield my time. That makes sense.
Thank you, AG Gordon and Senator Troutwine. Any further points or motions at this time?
Yeah, point of information.
Director Rogel?
Yeah, so I think like I'll try to make it quick, but like I think what makes point E really important is it really gives the like it solidifies that on the committee there will always be a diversity in thought, and I think as we all know, when there's a diversity in thought, that's when the most progress is made. And then I like originally when I was talking with Mason and Jagels, or Speaker Jagels, I guess, like, and what is it, AG Gordon or whatever the names are. What is it called? I wanted to have like the Muslim Student Association, but then they brought up the good point of how about like other religious organizations, you know, that have been like historically, what is it called? Like we call it discriminate against like a Jewish organization. I didn't know we had one. So that's why like point F shall also encourage the Director of Marinus involvement to committee meetings, is because rather than just picking out like specific religious organizations, the Director of Marinus involvement kind of encompasses that, so they can really give that diversity in thought from a religious perspective. So that's why point F is really important, and also why point E is important. And also one last thing is, as soon as I joined, I knew that this is something I wanted to do, and I really want to thank Jagels and Gordon and Ryan for making this, or working with me to make this happen. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any further points or motions?
I move to the previous question.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Hearing a second and seeing seconds, all those in favor of moving the previous question, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Seeing none opposed, we'll move into voting procedure on Senate Bill 2021-16. We appear to still be waiting on one more member to vote. I'll give another few seconds, otherwise we'll count that vote as an abstention. Senate Bill 2021-16 is passed by a vote of 17-0 to 1. Any further points or motions at this time? The Speaker will look favorably upon a motion to bring up Senate Bill 2021-14 to the floor.
I
have a motion.
Senator Reese.
Move to adjourn.
I second that.
Hearing a second for a motion to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning, please raise your hand at this time. All those opposed to adjourning, please raise your hand at this time. Seeing opposition to the motion to adjourn. Any further points or motions?
I move to bring Senate Bill 2021-14 to the floor.
Thank you, Director Rogel. Do we have a second? Seeing a second from Senator Hobie, all those in favor of bringing Senate Resolution 2020 or Senate Bill 2021-14 to the floor, please raise your hands at this time. All those opposed? Seeing majority in favor, we will move to Senate Bill 2021-14. Director Gordon, you have the floor.
All right, so this is a resolution to give scholarships to many of the positions within student government. So just to give a little background for it. I, like many of you, are willing to work for our community and put in time without compensation, but it doesn't have to be that way. And there are many reasons why our positions should be incentivized and compensated for not only ourselves, but future holders of the positions. One reason is that it would increase competition for our positions. They'd be more sought after. It would drive up better candidates, and candidates who are underprivileged and can't afford to spend a lot of their time uncompensated would then be able to hold our positions. So it would increase diversity within SGA. Some other reasons are that many schools similar to ours with SGAs that do a lot less than ours also have larger budgets and give more scholarship. That's a very large reason of why we need a bigger budget, but that we should also start by compensating our positions for ourselves and future holders. If you would scroll to the section that specifies which positions get how much. So it says that it allocates funding for all senators and academic senators would get $250 a semester. Chief of staff, executive secretary, and other exec positions that are in that same realm, $250. $150 per semester for committee chairs, co-chairs, and vice chairs. $1,000 per semester for speaker and attorney general, and then $500 a semester for head of community relations. Let's see. So there are a few requirements to actually get your scholarship. We're not just going to give it to every single person who's elected to office. These are sort of things that make you have to earn your scholarship once you have earned your position. So first, there is that a senator shall miss no more than 3 mandatory events. They must do an advocacy project. They must sponsor at least 1 bill and co-sponsor at least 2 bills. This sort of drives our senators to write more legislation, since that seems to be an issue. Academic senators shall miss no more than 2 academic senates and attend all necessary committee meetings. And they must make progress towards their discretion of the DAA. Chief of staff, secretary, speaker, attorney general are not allowed to miss more than 3 mandatory events, and they must conduct all their assigned roles to the satisfaction of the president and the executive committee. Members serving on the JRB, JRAB financial committees shall attend all meetings required of them by their respective chairs. Directors shall miss no more than 3 mandatory meetings or events, and they must abide by the SGA bylaws because different directors have different requirements. And all members, in order to receive their scholarship, must attend DPE training throughout the year. I yield my time.
Point of information.
Senator Reese.
Yeah, this one's for the speaker and the AG. Could you go into the reasoning behind the $1,000? And do you feel that is appropriate for your workload in SGA?
AG Gordon.
I do feel that it is appropriate. The 2 harder working positions in the exec committee, behind, of course, the president and the vice president, who do get more than everybody else because they do more work, are the speaker and AG, who do a lot of work on the back end. And speaking from personal experience, the position of attorney general comes with more responsibilities than just attorney general. It is historic that you're also chair of issues and bylaws committee, which is a large requirement, and you head the JRB, as well as attend every meeting and often speak at every meeting.
Point of information. How much do the president and vice president get?
Speaker Jagels.
For this question, we're going to go to the VPF, Vice President Fields.
Yes. If I'm not mistaken, they get $3,500. Chris, correct me if I'm wrong.
And this is per semester, correct, VPF?
Yes.
I have a motion to amend.
Senator Reese, go ahead.
Motion to cross out 1,000 and replace it with $500.
Is that a friendly or hostile amendment, A.G. Gordon?
Hostile.
Seeing as that is a hostile amendment, we will go into voting procedure. All voting members, please go ahead and vote on this. Voting yes would be lowering the amount of money allocated.
I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi cut out. What's the amount being lowered to?
The amount is being lowered from 1,000, which is lower than peer institutions for positions of similar rank, to 500, which is the same as director level scholarships. This is passed. The number will be changed from $1,000 to $500 per semester. Any further points or motions?
Yes, I move to table this legislation. Seeing as the Finance Committee has not had a time to properly go over this within the Finance Committee meeting, I believe it is not appropriate for us to bring this up here and now. Instead, I would move to wait another week and bring it up after the Finance Committee has had some words about this. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Trotwine. A.G. Gordon, would you like to respond to that?
This has gone through a lot of planning, multiple meetings, of which Chris, Amy, and the VPF were all present, as well as myself, Speaker Jagels, and Senator Moyer. I personally feel that this has been discussed to its fullest extent, especially as it was brought to us prior to changes. But VPF Finance, would you like to speak to that?
I did move for that. I did make a motion there.
Seeing as how Senator Trotwine has made a motion to table, do we have a second?
I second.
Hearing a second from Senator Reese. All those in favor of tabling Senate Bill 2021-14, please raise your hands at this time. All those against, please raise your hands.
Point of information.
Senator Moyer.
Chris did say that he believes this motion is discussable.
That is a fair point. Thank you, Director Moyer. Does anyone have any points or motions before we continue with voting on this?
I have a point
motion?
of information.
Director Brill.
So I think the original reason we tabled it was to wait for survey results. I think from various SGA. I think Amy and Chris were hoping to provide survey results that would be able to provide more exact numbers for the reasoning for the amounts in scholarship money. So I was wondering if we were able to consult with Chris and Amy and were able to actually see those results and if those influence the decisions for the exact numbers for the scholarship money being proposed.
Thank you, Director Brill. A.G. Gordon, I believe you have numbers for Miami, which is considered a peer institution. These numbers were a bit of a challenge to get from the speaker's understanding. A.G. Gordon.
Yes, so I have the Miami University SGA bylaws in front of me. It says that the president and vice president shall receive full tuition and a parking pass, nice perk. The speaker receives 10% of their tuition. The internal holdover senator and external holdover senator receive 10%, and the treasurer, which I would assume is similar to VPF, also receives 10% of their tuition.
Point of information, what exactly does that equate to?
Well, I don't know for sure. I don't have it in front of me, but I did apply to go to Miami, and full tuition in state, I believe, is $30,000, if I'm not mistaken, and 10% of 30,000 is $3,000. So.
Point of information.
Thank you, and for the point, Director Rogel.
I'm just like commenting on the bill itself. Is like I originally said no to this when we proposed it, because like I think we said something like how the funding's coming from the same place where we'd give money to orgs. But like I think VP Fields, I think you can add to this is like when I asked how much money is left over at the end of every semester, like after like on a normal semester, after we give money to all the orgs that want it / need it, how much money is left over, and there was more than like what is it, $8,000 or $7,000, however much like it was. But VP Fields, I don't know if you can add to it like would this actually have an impact on organizations from a finance point of view?
Yes. So this bill is not sustainable. We would be able to fund it this semester because of COVID and not many organizations requesting funds. But looking forward into next semester, this will not be sustainable.
Thank you, VP Fields. The speaker would like to note real quick the last two lines of the bill, which directs the Finance Committee to meet and propose a new budget allocation no later than 2 cents after the passage of this bill, and that the Finance Committee shall take a look at certain funding items like paying for the New York Times subscription and amounts allocated for internal fundings to allow for future viability on this. Thank you, and that is Senator Brown.
Sorry. I was just gonna say, I mean, personally, I just think that it would be optimal, especially since now like Vice President Fields said like this wouldn't be a sustainable thing that we would be able to cover on an annual basis. So I think that raises up a lot of questions. And also like I just feel personally this year, since we do have that extra funding that we usually don't have in regular years where SGA is running, that like we can allocate that money in so many different ways that can further benefit our community and not just benefit ourselves. Like I I would love to get a check. Okay. Like anybody who knows me, I work multiple different jobs just to sustain to be in school. I work for housing to get free housing. Like I really do like struggle on like a financial basis. And so like even though this bill would mean so much for me, and I know probably for other senators who struggle with the same thing that I do, I just think of how many different ways that this money can go back into our community and can further benefit students. And I just think that if it's not sustainable and we can use this money for like advocacy projects, like we literally just went through like before Senate and we talked about all these advocacy projects that we had and all these ideas and tables and all these different things. Well, with this extra funding, I feel like it would be better resourced if we focus it on stuff that everybody can benefit off of, that students can benefit off of, that organizations can benefit off of. Like as much like as I do agree that a lot of student leaders don't get compensated for their work and they should, I just think that these funds can be used to better our community in a different kind of way. So that's just my 2 cents. I do think it is a little bit of a slippery slope. I know we kind of had this conversation last week when I proposed like giving extra funding to Black orgs. And I honestly think the same argument can kind of be put here. You know, I mean, we just talked to Gabe. Gabe is president of Batu. He founded African Student Association. He comes to a decent amount of SGA meetings in his free time. He's an engineering student. He works for housing. Like he does a lot, but he's not an SGA. But I think, you know, in my head, if anybody was going to get compensated for leadership, Gabe would be somebody to be compensated. So what kind of pedestal are we putting ourselves on to say, oh, well, we do all this work and we do all this for a community? Well, so do a lot of other students, and they'll never see a lick of that back in in their time at UD. Like they really won't. I mean, before I joined SGA, I did a lot of stuff for the community outside of that, and I don't see a dime of it, but I do it because I love it, and I do it because I love my community and I invest into my community. And that is why I joined SGA, not to just get a check and to get a scholarship and to get that extra financial assistance. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I know that was a lot, but I just haven't heard anybody really dissent on this bill. And I don't think that like it's coming from a wrong place of heart. And I don't think that like anybody who thinks they should be compensated for their work is selfish or that their feelings aren't justified. But I just think that with the sustainability and with what we could actually further do with that money to really help our students during possibly the worst school year ever, I just disagree with it. And so before we like push to like move it back or to you know, push it for next week or to revise it, I just really wanted to get that off my chest and make sure that other people who may agree with me knew that that's how I felt on the situation. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator
Point of
Brown.
information.
AG Gordon, go ahead.
Jada, or Senator Brown, apologies. I do respect what you have to say. It is something that definitely need to be brought up, but I will reference the actual title of this working piece of legislation, Act for the Promotion of Engaged and Equitable Leadership. So this is sort of laying the groundwork for actually making our positions have scholarships, but if we give scholarships to ourselves, and then make it so that our positions in the future have these scholarships, it allows for people like Gabe, you mentioned, to take these positions over, say, a part-time job because they need money to help pay for college. So if we give scholarships to the positions in SGA, that makes it so people who can't afford it otherwise can take these positions. And there are other things that need to be brought up as well, like how there are certain positions in exec that require more time than others, and some of those that are not on the highest end of, say, the amount of work that is required are the ones that are paid, and some of the higher end workload positions are not paid.
Senator,
Thank you, Mason. Senator Brown, you can go ahead.
Speaker, okay, I was going to ask if I can respond, but what I was going to say is I think that point, I do understand what you're saying, and I definitely get that. But to my point, you know, yes, legislation like this might encourage people like Gabe to run for SGA or encourage minorities to run for SGA, period. But my real question is, do we really think that like SGA is the most sustainable, most beneficial student org on campus? And my answer would be no, I don't think that we are. And I mean, like, some people do SGA because like for different reasons, but I mean, like, for me personally, I'm involved in a lot of other things outside of SGA because I have a very personal connection to them. So like I'm involved in Batu because I really care about the Black student experience on campus. And I'm involved in AKA because I love being surrounded by other Black women on campus and women who share my experiences. And so not every minority student is going to sign up for SGA just because it cuts a check. A lot of student leaders do the work and do that work because it fulfills them on a very mental and like social and other types of levels that are important to them that doesn't involve money. And I just think that's just really important because just because SGA is, I mean, and that doesn't speak that SGA is a bad organization or SGA is whatever, but you know, I just don't think money is the sole reason why students really get involved on campus. And I think that like for SGA to like put a dollar sign in front of it and be like, oh, well, come work for us. Like, I just don't think that that just doesn't sit right with me. That doesn't sit very well with me. And I don't think it would sit well with a lot of other minority students. And especially since this bill would be mostly, I mean, if we're speaking now on who people are in the Senate, a majority white organization. So that's just how I feel about it. I see the comments. I know the Super Bowl's in an hour. I honestly forgot. I'm sorry. I'm just talking a lot, but I yield my time.
Point of information.
Thank you, Senator Brown. Sorry, Director Rogel, we're got a couple people with their hands up, then I'll get to you as soon as possible. Director Pearson.
Kind of, I don't know a better way to phrase this than throwing this into the void, but I think I was initially for saying no to this bill, and I'm kind of on the edge at this point. I think some context that I don't know if it's been mentioned in this session is that two rationales for the passage of this bill are that it brings us in line with peer institutions. A lot of other institutions within both our larger national ASGA organization that we belong to and we're a founding member of have larger scholarships for their students, and they have seen like that has a positive impact on the students that join and an impact on membership. And then at the same time, one of the, I believe it was last year when we were starting to address barriers to entry for students, one of the things that we've heard directly from students is that why would I put my time into something, like Kat said, Texas gives the president full tuition, and that's not uncommon. I think something that regarding barriers to entry, and again, I'm speaking as a white man here, that I don't have a whole lot of barriers to join. Financially, it was not a factor for me, but a lot of students that we've heard are, why would I want to join SGA, but there's no incentive? And we were thinking, and a lot of peer institutions agree with us on this from what we've heard. I mean, multiple conferences have said this, that removing one of those barriers, or at least aiding with one of those barriers, is something that they have seen has a positive impact over years. I also think that this bill being brought up now is also just a sense of poor timing, and I'm not calling anyone out on that. I just think it's a rough time to get this, to discuss this all around. But it's something that honestly SGA has been working on for years. We've never found a way to get it. No one has been ever able to get this bill on the floor since I've been in SGA. So I think it's more of a get it done while we can kind of thing, and or at least discuss it and figure it out while we can kind of thing. Yeah. So again, I'm not trying to sway anybody. I see everyone's points, but I just wanted to kind of give that context out there. And then can I continue with a motion real quick?
Go ahead, Director Pearson.
I have two motions to amend, one coming from Chris. Motion to amend at the end of the conditional phrases, numbers 1 through 6. I would like to add a 7th per Chris, saying that it is contingent on basically the same language, shall attend both the fall and spring retreats.
Point of order, we're still in a motion to table.
That's a fair point. Thank you.
I'm just repeating what Chris said.
Thank you, Senator Reese. That is a solid point. As we are still in a motion to table, Director Pearson,
Point of order.
that motion would be
Motion to tables are non-debatable per our Roberts rules. So can we just say that motion to table was denied, so that we are debating and we can go into this motion to amend.
The chair agrees with that determination, and yeah, so we can go into that motion to amend. That motion did fail had we gone in voting procedure anyway. So we are now on Director Pearson's motion to amend, adding point 7 to this bill. Is that a favorable amendment, Mr. Gordon?
Yes, that is favorable.
Seeing as that is a favorable amendment that has been added to the bill, any further points or motions? Actually, we're going to go to Director Rogel. He had a point.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, like, if VP Field says that this isn't sustainable, then I don't like. I think like that's a really important thing to note. And then also, if it's not sustainable and y'all want to make it sustainable, then maybe that's a conversation y'all need to have after this meeting.
Point of information.
Thank you, Director Rogel. Attorney General Gordon, go ahead.
To address that, this was something I wanted to bring up earlier, but forgot to ask VPF Fields. So we did discuss how it was not sustainable, and we came up with a couple of ideas. So one thing we noticed was that the administration passes a lot of costs from other departments onto SGA. So our budget is for students and student organizations and things that benefit students. And the university is sort of dipping into our budget to pay for things like the New York Times, which we help pay for with the library, I believe. We also pay, is it full or half for a shared graduate assistant? We pay full for a shared graduate assistant, which we do need, but we're paying full for a shared asset. And there are multiple other examples. So if we just sort of say like, listen, administration, you're using our budget for students for things that benefit the university, either increase our budget because we need more money, or we're not going to keep paying for all of these shared things that our money should be going back to our students. That's so to get out of my rambling habit. VPF Fields, if we were to make a few cuts, would this be sustainable, assuming we won't get a larger budget?
I'm not sure the exact numbers of like where we're cutting. Because I think this total budget costs $10,100. Is that correct, AG Gordon?
Yes.
Okay, so that's a lot of money. And if we are just like cutting off from like different like administrative people, I think that's going to look really bad on SGA's part. And I think having a good relationship with the administration is key for some of like the advocacy projects that we're doing. So if we do cut, yes, it might be sustainable depending on how much we do cut. But then we also have to look long term about like the sustainability of this organization and the connections that we do have. I yield my time.
Point of information. Just as a quick
Thank you, Director
response.
Fields. Attorney General Gordon.
I totally understand what you're saying, VPF Fields. We do need to be respectful towards the administration because they do grace us with the ability to represent the student body on behalf, and we're basically a bridge between the administration and the student body. That being said, if respect is a two-way street, we need to make sure that we're being respected by the administration before we just give them our undying loyalty. We need to make sure that we're not just being used and then our budget is being soiled. We've asked, I think, twice in the past 4 years for a larger budget, and both times we were said no with no reasoning. So I think that it is about time we take action because our budget needs to increase so we can expand SGA as an organization. I yield my time.
Thank you, AG Gordon. Director Pearson.
Quick two things. Quick point of information. Can I propose multiple amendments under one just to get them done real quick? Like, can I just go through a few amendments real quick?
You can go ahead and if you wouldn't mind adding them to the bill, please.
Okay. Quickly seeing some things that were in the chat. Motion to amend to the. Can I add them and we can come back to me because I know there's discussion.
That's acceptable, Director Pearson. If you want to go ahead and do that, we can move into another point.
Point
Senator
of
Thomas.
information. Ooh, go ahead.
Yes, I apologize earlier, Attorney General Gordon, for cutting you off. My point of information, if we can't get a consensus on this bill, I want to propose changing the rules to take scholarships away for all SGA positions. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Thomas. Director Rogel.
I was just gonna say, so Fields, as of right now, it's not sustainable, and then we don't have confirmation that we're gonna stop paying for stuff. So I think we're talking circles around a topic that we don't even know fully about. Like if Fields doesn't know like everything about it, then I definitely don't, and I'm pretty sure most of you all don't either. So I think like this is better just to be I motion the table because there's things we need to figure out that we don't know yet, and we're trying to figure it out right now, but we can't because we don't have the knowledge. So I motion to table this discussion.
Point of order, just to speak to the motion real quick as the sponsor. I think that taking another week is acceptable. I really just wanted to come in here and talk about it a lot because this is something that we've not really gotten through to the Senate at all. It's mostly just been an exec sort of deal. But go ahead and vote on the move table, motion to table.
Thank you, AG Gordon. The speaker would look favorably upon a motion to table this bill. Do we have any points or motions?
I motion to table this discussion.
Hearing motion to table.
I second that motion.
Hearing a second, all those in favor of tabling, please raise your hand at this time. All those opposed? Seeing majority in favor of tabling Senate Bill 2021-14 once again, majority in favor, we have this bill has been tabled. Any further points or motions at this time?
Motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Hearing a motion to adjourn, do we have a second?
I second that.
Hearing a second from Director Cox. All those in favor of adjourning, please raise your hands at this time.
Aye.
All those opposed? Senate 4 is adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a fun time watching.